In the city of Chicago, where skyscrapers touch the sky and the lights never go out, lived Evelyn Whitaker, a 70-year-old woman who had not only witnessed the world's transformation, but had also shaped it. Her story began with an ambitious vision: to turn a small clothing store into $1 million empire. At first, the challenges were many: limited supplies, fierce competition, and the constant struggle to establish herself in the market. But Evelyn, with her unwavering determination, faced each challenge with courage and intelligence. Over time, her business grew, expanded, and became a symbol of success and innovation. Evelyn built a brand that was synonymous with quality and elegance, not only in Chicago but across the country. She was not just an entrepreneur. She was a living legend, known for her ability to turn simple ideas into grand enterprises. But Evelyn always had a deeper dream than just amassing wealth. She wanted to ensure that her company would continue to thrive even when she decided to retire. After decades of hard work, she began thinking about retirement. And after much reflection, she decided it was time for a significant change. That's when Evelyn made a decision that surprised many. She chose to sell a substantial portion of her company to a promising young entrepreneur named Lucas Carter, a 30-year-old with a modern and bold vision for the future of fashion. Evelyn saw in Lucas the same spark of innovation that she had once seen in herself. With a signed contract and a carefully planned transition, she transferred part of the company's control to him, while retaining a minority stake to ensure a steady flow of benefits without the need for daily involvement. For Evelyn, this decision wasn't just about retirement. It was about leaving a legacy. She was passing the baton to someone who could carry her vision into the future while allowing herself to enjoy a well-deserved rest, knowing her hard work had paved the way for the next generation of leaders. Chicago would continue to honor the Whitaker name, but now, with a new era ahead, guided by the youthful and innovative hand of Lucas. It was a cloudy day in Chicago when Evelyn Whitaker prepared for the significant change in her life. The company office was buzzing with activity, but Evelyn, with her silver hair perfectly styled and a serene smile, remained calm. She had spent weeks preparing every detail for the moment about to unfold: the sale of a substantial portion of her company to Lucas Carter. The atmosphere in the office reflected a mix of excitement and nervousness. Her employees, some with misty eyes and others with shy smiles, gathered to bid farewell to the leader who had been the heart and soul of the company for decades. Evelyn said her goodbyes with a firm handshake and words of gratitude, her eyes showing a blend of pride and nostalgia. With the contract signed and a new chapter about to begin, Evelyn found herself in a new reality, retired, but still present in a different way. The transition was smoother than she had imagined. Lucas Carter took over, bringing with him vibrant energy and new ideas, while Evelyn, now a distinguished and respected figure, watched the transformation from afar. The first days of retirement were a sea of new routines for Evelyn. She began exploring activities she had never had time for before. She started visiting museums she had always been curious about, took gourmet cooking classes, and even began learning to play the piano, something she had always wanted to do. With each step, she discovered new pleasures in life that had been overshadowed by the hustle and bustle of business for so long. Although Evelyn had chosen a smaller role in the company, she was far from being a passive observer. She still received reports and updates periodically, which she reviewed with a keen eye but without the stress of daily oversight. Her contribution was now more like subtle mentorship, a reminder of the glorious past she helped build. The emotional connection to the company remained, but in a way that allowed her to appreciate its growth without the constant pressure. As the sun set over the city, Evelyn walked through parks, now feeling a sense of freedom and fulfillment. Her new life was unfolding like a book she was excited to read, chapter by chapter, at her own pace. She had achieved what many dream of: a lasting legacy, and the chance to experience life in a way that had never been possible before. On a peaceful Saturday morning, Evelyn Whitaker sat at the table in her elegant kitchen, a steaming cup of tea in her hands, and the sun filtering through the linen curtains. The home, now a haven of calm and reflection, felt cozier than ever. She was lost in thought, a soft smile playing on her lips. In front of her was a framed photo of her grandson Ethan, a 25-year-old with a bright promise in his eyes and an adventurous spirit in his heart. Ethan was the light of Evelyn's life. Since he was little, he had been her pride and joy, always running around the house with energy and curiosity. Now, as a young adult, he was starting to carve his own path, but Evelyn knew he was facing the typical challenges of youth, doubts about the future, and the need to find his place in the world. Are you enjoying the story so far? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any stories like this one.
As she looked at Ethan's photo, Evelyn decided she wanted to give him something that was not just a gift, but a symbol of her unconditional love and support. She wanted to mark this phase of her life with something memorable, a gesture that showed how much she believed in him. And what could be more fitting than a luxury car? The idea started as a vague wish but quickly took shape. Evelyn remembered how, in his teenage years, Ethan always talked about his dream of having a sports car, something sleek and powerful that would make him feel free and accomplished. He had worked hard, studied, and strived to achieve his goals, and now she wanted to reward him with something that not only symbolized his success, but also helped him start a new chapter of his life with confidence and style. She began researching thoroughly, exploring the best options and making sure to choose a car as unique as Ethan himself. The choice was made, a sophisticated sports model that combined elegance with performance, a true masterpiece of automotive engineering. With a sense of satisfaction, Evelyn imagined the look on Ethan's face when he saw the gift. The moment of purchase was approaching. Evelyn felt a youthful excitement, a thrill that made her feel more alive than ever. Buying the car wasn't just about giving a gift. It was a way to celebrate the special bond she shared with her grandson, and to show that even in her retirement, her heart still beat strongly for those she loved. That morning, as she prepared to go to the dealership, Evelyn felt a deep, quiet joy. She was about to do something that would brighten Ethan's day and leave a lasting mark on his life. For her, the gift wasn't just a car. It was a tangible expression of love and a testament to the pride she felt in everything her grandson had achieved. The sunlight filtered through the large windows of the luxury dealership, casting a soft glow on the polished surfaces of the cars. Evelyn Whitaker walked in with a calm, purposeful step, her eyes scanning the sleek lines of the vehicles on display. She was dressed simply in a cream linen dress and comfortable shoes, a stark contrast to the opulence of her surroundings. The salespeople were scattered around the showroom, chatting among themselves and occasionally glancing at potential customers. When Evelyn entered, one of them, a young man named Ryan, was engrossed in an animated conversation about the latest industry trends. Evelyn's presence initially went almost unnoticed, but as she approached a sleek red Ferrari, his critical eye was drawn to her. Ryan, noticing what appeared to be an inconspicuous customer, interrupted his conversation and approached with a smile that barely masked a hint of disdain. "Good morning, ma'am. How can I assist you today?" The courtesy in his words contrasted with the lack of enthusiasm in his voice. His eyes quickly skimmed over Evelyn's simple dress and settled on her serene expression, judging her unlikely to be a serious buyer. Evelyn, used to dealing with various types of people throughout her life, remained unfazed. She responded with a gentle smile and a firm tone. "I'm here to buy a luxury car for my grandson. I'd like to see some options." Ryan, visibly disinterested, made a dismissive gesture towards the displayed cars. He began to present the features of the vehicles with a lack of enthusiasm, as if Evelyn's visit were merely a formality. His eyes frequently drifted towards the next customer, who seemed more aligned with the type of buyer he expected. As Ryan continued to describe the models in a monotone voice, Evelyn listened with patience. She knew exactly what she was looking for and was determined not to let his indifferent treatment affect her. Ryan's frustration was evident. He clearly underestimated her ability to make a significant decision. In his mind, she was just a plainly dressed elderly woman, a visitor with little to offer. Evelyn asked some specific questions about the models and requested to see a particular car, a high-end sports car that happened to be exactly what she had in mind. Ryan tried to maintain his indifferent stance, but Evelyn's precise questions and knowledge about the car began to challenge him. The conversation, which had previously been dull, now showed signs of increasing tension. The visit was starting to make an impression not only on Ryan but also on the other salespeople observing the interaction. They began to notice the discrepancy between Evelyn's plain appearance and the depth of her interest. However, at that moment, Ryan was entirely immersed in his own erroneous assumptions, and the visit continued, marked by cold courtesy and a lack of genuine enthusiasm. In the dealership showroom, the atmosphere was lively, filled with the shine of metallic surfaces and the murmur of buyers. But for the salespeople, Evelyn Whitaker's arrival did not seem to fit the image they had in mind. Ryan, the young salesman, stepped away from Evelyn and returned to the counter, where he discussed with his colleagues about the customers who had come in that morning. "Look who's here," Ryan commented with a sarcastic smile, glancing at Evelyn, who was carefully examining one of the cars. "An old lady in a simple dress, probably just browsing. I bet she won't make a purchase." Her colleagues, visibly uninterested, exchanged glances and whispers. One of the saleswomen, Laura, watched the scene with disdain. "It's sad how some people come here just to daydream. Most are just here for a stroll, not really interested in buying," she said, shaking her head with an air of superiority. Ryan agreed with a dismissive gesture. "Yeah, and most of these customers don't even know what they're talking about. She probably doesn't even know the difference between a V8 and a V12 engine. She's just here to pass the time." Meanwhile, the store manager, James, was in his office watching the activity through a glass window. He noticed the interaction between Ryan and Evelyn and quickly assessed the situation. Based on Evelyn's appearance and how Ryan was treating her, James saw no reason to intervene. Probably not worth spending much time with her, he thought. There are much more promising customers here today. Guided by such hasty judgments, the salespeople continued their activities, giving little regard to what was happening with Evelyn. The idea that someone with a plain appearance could be genuinely interested in a luxury car seemed absurd to them. Their prejudices not only affected how they treated Evelyn, but also how they directed their energy toward other customers who seemed more aligned with their ideal buyer profile. While Ryan and his colleagues discussed and laughed, Evelyn continued to examine the cars, her dignity and patience intact. With every disdainful comment she overheard, her thoughts remained far from the disrespect she was receiving. She was focused on finding the perfect car for her grandson, undeterred by the salespeople's behavior. The contrast between how the salespeople saw her and the true value of her desire to buy reflected their own biases. They were so caught up in their assumptions that they barely noticed the reality of the situation. Thus, their hasty judgments shaped how they interacted with Evelyn, highlighting an invisible barrier between perception and someone's true capability. As Evelyn Whitaker walked through the dealership showroom, the shine of the luxury cars couldn't erase the bitter feeling beginning to form inside her. With every disdainful comment from Ryan and every look of contempt from Laura, a subtle but intense weight accumulated in her chest. She was a woman of strength and experience, yet felt the sting of judgment like a sharp blade. When Ryan and the other salespeople began to whisper and laugh discreetly, Evelyn was able to catch snippets of their conversations. She didn't react immediately. Her dignity and self-control were unshakable. However, inside, the impact was deeper. She felt a quiet sadness, not from the disrespect she was receiving, but from the revelation that there were still people so quick to judge based on appearance. She continued to observe the cars with a keen and methodical eye, trying to focus on the real reason for her visit. Each time the salespeople passed her, chatting about other customers with an enthusiasm that was denied to her. Evelyn maintained a calm smile even though her hands were slightly trembling. It was a smile of patience, a mask covering the disillusionment she felt. Evelyn made her way to the dealership's lounge area, where she sat alone on a comfortable leather sofa. The surroundings seemed to contrast with the hostility she had experienced. She allowed herself a moment of introspection, taking a deep breath and trying to push away the feeling of being invisible, of being undervalued. As she waited for Ryan, who had gone to assist another customer, Evelyn began to reflect on the real impact of what was happening. She knew that the salespeople's judgments didn't reflect her worth or accomplishments, but it was impossible not to feel affected. The unequal treatment made her briefly question if her plain appearance was indeed overshadowing her true essence. However, Evelyn was also a woman of great emotional strength. She recalled the battles she had faced throughout her life, the times she challenged expectations and overcame obstacles. With renewed determination, she straightened her posture and stood tall. The humiliation she felt did not define her. Instead, she would use it as a quiet strength. She walked back to the showroom with a serene composure, determined not to let the unequal treatment divert her from her purpose. When Ryan returned, his demeanor was met with calm resolve rather than anger. With the same courtesy she had received, Evelyn asked her final questions and expressed her desire to view a specific car up close, maintaining a dignity that transcended the disdain she had encountered. The feeling of being treated as invisible did not break her. On the contrary, it strengthened her. Evelyn knew that by keeping her dignity and focus, she was showing more than any material possession could. She was teaching everyone around her a silent lesson in respect and value, proving that her essence could not be diminished by others' superficiality. The following morning brought a clear sky and bright sunshine over Chicago. Evelyn Whitaker, now with a renewed sense of calm and determination, was preparing for a return that promised to be different. This time, she was not alone. Beside her was Ethan, her grandson, whose presence and demeanor exuded a sophisticated charm and confidence that contrasted with Evelyn's simplicity. Ethan was dressed in a well-tailored dark suit that accentuated his commanding presence. His eyes were as bright as his smile, and beside him, Evelyn felt a deep sense of pride. They arrived at the dealership in a stunning luxury car, a recent model that exuded class and power. The entrance was marked by the soft sound of high-quality tires meeting the pavement, a prelude to the impact about to unfold. As they walked in, the atmosphere in the dealership seemed to change instantly. The salespeople who had shown indifference and even disdain the day before now stood with erect postures and friendly smiles. Ryan, in particular, was standing by the counter, trying to mask the embarrassment clearly visible on his face as he recognized Evelyn and Ethan. The contrast between how he had treated Evelyn the previous day and the warm reception he was now trying to offer was palpable. Evelyn and Ethan approached where Ryan was standing, with Ethan leading the conversation. "Good morning," Ethan began in a clear and decisive tone that immediately captured attention. "We're here to finalize the purchase of the car my grandmother was interested in yesterday." The impact of Ethan's words was immediate. Ryan, who had been trying to maintain a friendly demeanor, swallowed hard. His eyes darted quickly between Evelyn and Ethan, the weight of his earlier misjudgment now heavy on him. The salesman forced a smile, trying to regain his composure. "Of course, sir. I'm glad to see you're back. Let's take a look at the car." As Ryan struggled to show enthusiasm that now seemed forced, the other salespeople watched with growing curiosity. Laura and James, who had been busy with other clients, noticed the sudden change in how Ryan was treating Evelyn and Ethan. Their glances met, and although they tried to hide it, they couldn't conceal their surprise and discomfort. Ethan, with his magnetic presence and car expertise, led the conversation effortlessly, discussing details and features with in-depth knowledge. The difference was stark. Where Evelyn had previously been treated with indifference, she was now accompanied by someone whose appearance and demeanor highlighted his status and respect. The interaction became a showcase of contrast, with the previous coldness replaced by exaggerated cordiality. Ryan desperately tried to demonstrate his attention and concern for details, but the sincerity of his efforts was questionable, evident from the embarrassment he struggled to hide. Evelyn, observing the scene with a serene look, allowed herself a small internal smile. She knew that the true significance of her visit was in how Ethan displayed respect and consideration, and in how the prejudice she faced was now becoming apparent to everyone around. The unexpected return was not just about buying the car, but about revealing people's true nature and the importance of never judging someone solely by their appearance. In the dealership showroom, the tension in the air was palpable. Ethan and Evelyn were now in front of the luxury car, which gleamed under the artificial lights like a precious gem. Ryan, the young salesman, was trying to maintain a professional demeanor, but his voice betrayed a growing nervousness. The shift in his attitude was evident, and the contrast with the previous day did not go unnoticed. Ethan approached the counter where Ryan was standing with a determined look. "We're ready to proceed with the purchase," Ethan announced, pulling out a checkbook from his suit pocket with a deliberate and confident gesture. "We'd like to pay in full." Ryan, visibly surprised, swallowed hard. He exchanged quick glances with his colleagues who were nearby, watching with increasing curiosity. The sound of the checkbook being pulled out seemed to resonate like a bell in an environment that had previously been indifferent. "Paying in full?" Ryan repeated, his voice almost inaudible. He tried to process the information, his face a mix of confusion and embarrassment. The salesman began preparing the paperwork, his hands trembling slightly as he tried to recover from the unexpected revelation. Laura, one of the salespeople who had laughed at the situation earlier, watched with wide eyes. The look of disdain on her face was replaced by one of shock and regret. She blinked slowly, trying to absorb the fact that the woman she had underestimated was about to make a significant purchase. James, the store manager, who had been observing from his office through the glass window, came out to the showroom, drawn by the commotion. Upon realizing the situation, his eyes widened with a mix of surprise and discomfort. He approached quickly, trying to show a friendly attitude that seemed forced. "Mr. Carter, Ms. Whitaker, can I assist with anything else?" he asked, his voice attempting to stay neutral but carrying a hint of unease. Evelyn, with a look of dignity and calm, watched the scene unfold with a slight smile on her lips. She knew that the revelation of her true identity was causing a wave of emotions among the salespeople and dealership staff. She couldn't help but notice the irony. The same team that had treated her with disdain was now trying to make amends. Ethan signaled for Ryan to complete the transaction. The sound of the checkbook being signed and the exchange of documents was accompanied by murmurs of surprise from the other staff. The atmosphere in the dealership had changed abruptly, with the previous coldness replaced by an attempt at exaggerated friendliness. The salespeople, now visibly uncomfortable, tried to apologize to Evelyn and Ethan, offering service that seemed insincere. Evelyn accepted the situation with silent grace, her gaze fixed on Ethan as he handled the process with unwavering confidence. The contrast between how she had been treated before and the reception she was getting now clearly reflected the power of first impressions and prejudice. Evelyn, with her dignified demeanor and the revelation of the true value of her purchase, had left an indelible mark on the dealership, which now faced the harsh reality of its own assumptions. The atmosphere in the dealership was now filled with an awkward silence, an echo of the revelation that had shifted the store's dynamics. Evelyn and Ethan had completed the car purchase and were preparing to leave, leaving behind a group of salespeople lost in their own reflections. Ryan, Laura, and James huddled in a corner of the showroom, discussing the situation in hushed tones. The mood of their conversation was far from the enthusiasm of the start of the day. It was a mix of regret and discomfort. "I really underestimated that lady," Ryan admitted, wiping his forehead in frustration. "I thought she would never buy anything. And now, seeing who she really is." Laura, who had watched the scene with disdain, was visibly affected. "Me too," she confessed, her voice reflecting genuine remorse. "I shouldn't have judged so quickly. The way I treated her was completely inappropriate." James, the manager, was trying to reassess the situation more deeply. "We made a huge mistake here," he said, the seriousness in his voice resonating with unexpected clarity. "Not only did we fail to recognize the true value of our customers, but we also let our prejudices influence how we conduct our business. This does not reflect what we want for this dealership." As the salespeople talked, the sense of regret deepened. They were beginning to realize that their treatment of Evelyn was not just a lapse in judgment, but a fundamental failure in how they interacted with their clients. The unequal treatment and assumptions based solely on appearance and age revealed a significant gap in their practices and attitudes. Ryan reflected on how his previous actions had been guided by stereotypes and prejudices, leaving him with a sense of shame. "I should have treated her with the same respect as any other customer, regardless of her appearance." What I did was a huge lack of professionalism. Laura nodded in agreement. I was so focused on appearing sophisticated and important that I didn't see the impact of my actions. She deserved to be treated with dignity from the start. James, with a look of resolve, concluded, "We need to make changes. This includes not only better training for our staff to avoid biases, but also ensuring that all customers, regardless of their appearance, receive the best possible service." The lesson the salespeople learned was harsh but necessary. The experience with Evelyn Whitaker became a turning point for the dealership, forcing them to confront their own prejudices and deeply reflect on how their actions had been inadequate. They now understood that the true value of a customer cannot be judged by appearance or age, and that respect and dignity are fundamental in any interaction. The transformation in how they treated customers was a promise of change, a lesson that, though bitter, served as a catalyst for a new beginning. The afternoon light was soft and warm as Evelyn and Ethan Whitaker left the dealership, walking toward the elegant new car that now gleamed under the Chicago sky. The car, a symbol of Evelyn's pride and affection for her grandson, looked even more impressive in the sunlight, and each step toward it was accompanied by a profound sense of accomplishment. The salespeople, now in a state of introspection and regret, watched with a mix of shame and hope. Ryan, Laura, and James stood near the entrance, trying to gauge Evelyn and Ethan's final impressions. There was a visible effort to show newfound respect, a belated recognition of the true value of their customers. Evelyn, with the serene expression and a posture of dignity, felt a quiet satisfaction. The way she had been treated earlier in the day with indifference and prejudice starkly contrasted with the final reception. The episode made her reflect on human nature and the complexities of perceptions and judgments. As Ethan held the car door open for Evelyn to get in, she took one last look at the dealership. Her eyes met Ryan's, who now stood with a more humbled demeanor. She sensed the sincere attempt at redemption, and although respect couldn't be fully restored, there was a genuine effort to learn from the mistake. Evelyn settled into the car with a sense of peace. Ethan, sitting beside her, gave her an encouraging smile. "You know, Grandma, I think what happened today was an important reminder for all of us," Ethan said, starting the engine and adjusting the mirrors. "Sometimes we need to face these situations to learn what really matters." Evelyn smiled at him, her words echoing a wisdom gained from a lifetime of experience. "Yes, my dear. The true worth of people isn't in their appearance or first impressions. It's about who they are inside and how they choose to treat others." As the car glided out of the dealership, Evelyn looked back at the storefront where the logo gleamed in the sunlight. What could have been a painful experience had turned into a valuable lesson about respect and empathy. What she took away wasn't just the luxury car, but the confirmation that despite the challenges, maintaining dignity and self-respect was the true victory. The drive home was calm and filled with a new understanding. Evelyn knew that the experience had been a catalyst for significant changes, not only in how she was treated but also in how the salespeople would now view and respect all their customers. She hoped that the lesson learned would be lasting, shaping a future where appearances would never again overshadow the true essence of people. What would you do in Evelyn's place? Would you have gone back to buy the car, or would you have never returned to that place? Comment below with what you would do, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any stories like this one.